is on the way. We should be live in a couple of seconds. It is just 2 p.m. of a beautiful, horrible, desperately bad, stormy Sunday. But you know what? We're here, we're all together, and everyone's still in one piece, so that's pretty good. Delightful to have you all attached. I know the stream is just catching up on me here because I stream from two devices, so it actually comes, not two devices, two pieces of software that actually puts it up. OBS Studio starts the stream, and then the Sunday service actually picks up on the channel itself. I look kind of washed out. I don't know why that is. The light is going to change over and over again, and it's nothing I can do about that because it's daylight out there, and it's a real stormy day. So if you're indoors and you're along the west coast, stay indoors along the west coast is the best advice I can give you. If you're in the Midlands across to the east coast, should be okay. It's a bit breezy and windy out there, and it's a little bit of rain, but nothing too dramatic. Now, hopefully everybody can hear me properly, which is pretty good, because I'm trying a few experiments today. A few experiments are coming up. I'm going to share the screen again, and I have a brilliant question for our giveaway today, which if you're here for the giveaway part, it's vitally important. I have loads of things to give away, including little model cars, and there's BMW things. What is that? Don't know. Something BMW is here. There's Mazda books. There's BMW books as well. There's phone chargers. These chargers here, like Seat chargers, little handy ones. They are actually. I usually throw a couple of them in my bag when I'm traveling as well, because they, no matter what country you go to, a lot of countries don't want big battery things to come with them. So if you're going down to Morocco or you're going, Spain can be a little bit weird as well. If you've got a big like 10,000 milliamp hour charger, some of them will take it off you. They don't want big batteries on the planes, so those little small ones are much better. They're like 3,000 amp hours, so it's enough to charge your general iPhone maybe once, and then you can charge up again. Brilliant to have you here. Click on the like button, please. That's very good. I shouldn't actually be here. I should be in Dublin Airport right now, taken off to go to Paris for the launch. Well, actually it's Marseille, to the launch of the Peugeot 2008, the EV one and the petrol and diesel one, but I can't go because I got food poisoning last week. Early this week, I had a fierce bout of food poisoning, and the protests across France are causing travel chaos, and I have to be in Porto on Wednesday for the launch of the Golf 8, so very hard to kind of balance the two of them out to make sure I'd be back in time to go again. The flight is first thing in the morning, but mainly it's because of food poisoning. Got a fearsome dose of food poisoning last, I think it was Wednesday. Anyway, it seems to be calming down a little bit now. I still haven't eaten a whole lot, so I'm a little bit low on energy, so I'm using coffee to prop myself up today. Now, of course, today is all about how to get cheap insurance, or how to get lower cost insurance. Unfortunately, we are entirely ripped off in this country by insurance companies. I've had a couple of insurance companies come at me this year to sponsor the channel, and I turned it down because I really couldn't get a better deal for you, the consumer, while I was here. So they were willing to sponsor me, but not willing to give you lads any sort of serious discount for being the sponsor, which I found a bit weird. And also because I can't criticise insurance if they sponsor me, so I wouldn't let insurance companies sponsor me. Same as I don't let car companies sponsor me either. You can't sponsor a video. I'm sorry, car companies, but you can't sponsor a video on the channel. Anyway, insurance, we're going to go through that today. So like little tips and tricks, I have a list of things that I'm going to go through with you. We're making a video about insurance, how to get better, cheaper insurance for your car. We're also making a video on petrol, diesel and electric, all versus one another. So the cost of ownership, depreciation, fuel cost, servicing cost, blah, 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 blah. That's a big video. That's taken a good 6 weeks so far just to get that in one piece. So, you know, that's a tough one to do. Anyway, Derek Norris is here. Derek Norris was here since 12 o'clock, which is good. Zdenko's here. Lisa Smith. Alright, how's it going? Can anyone sort me out with a 192D Range Rover? I can collect it with South Circular Road, Garda Station. I'm sure you could, Lisa. You really try hard to get it there. Lisa is going to be a problem now straight away. I feel in my bones Lisa Smith is going to be a problem. But that's okay. Dara Joyce says, hi Bob, greetings from a windy west coast. Yes, keep your head down there, Dara. Don't be sticking your head up too high. Eric Watcher's here as well. Rusty Buntis says, good afternoon. Rory here. David McCarthy, good morning, Bob and all. It's afternoon here, but good morning to you if it's morning wherever you are. John Carney, hi Bob, good afternoon to all the Sunday Service. We're in a great channel and continued success for the year ahead. If we get across Christmas, we were with the next year, which is coming as well. Operator Hoot is here. Noel Davison says afternoon. Mick Mulcahy is here. Paul Hickey. Any thoughts on the new BMW 1 Series front wheel drive now, but better interior plastics and a new Golf? I do like the look. It's the first 1 Series hatchback that I like the look of. I have to say, it's very pretty, particularly in the ads and that sort of baby blue one. Good interior. It's pricey, but they always were. They were never really cheap. But now the problem was, the only thing that distinguished the 1 Series as a 5-door hatchback from all other 5-door hatchbacks was that it was rear-wheel drive. Now, that was the only thing. Other than that, it's basically just a 5-door hatchback like any other. Now they make it front-wheel drive, which is cheaper to make. It gives them a bigger boot. It gives a little bit more room in the back seats because there's no transmission tunnel. But now it has to compete straight up on face-to-face with everything else in that segment. Everything else, including the Golf, including everything else that's coming as well. Now, driving the Golf on Wednesday this week. I'm going on to Spain, Porto. Where's Porto? Spain or Portugal? Wherever it is. I'm going there to drive it, so I won't know until I've driven that. And I haven't driven the new 1 Series either, so I'll get around all of that. My calendar of cars to drive is booked until next May. Nearly June now at this stage. Getting there. There's bookings off in August next year, but we'll see. Can hear and see fine. That's good, Eric. Thank you. Hi Bob, chat from the North Midlands, Wicklow. Just the username, Jerry Wicklow. Jerry Wicklow is cheating us all this time. Jerry is from the North Midlands, which means he's somewhere around Athlone, thereabouts, but yet he's called Jerry Wicklow. That's terrible. Byron says there's only 9 likes. There's 22 likes now, but go on, hit more likes. There's 70 people watching right now. Noel Davison, Bob, isn't a travesty that we can't buy insurance from outside of Ireland, i.e. the EU European Union, but you have to use an Irish-based supplier, hence it's so expensive? Well, yes, it's very expensive in Ireland to get insurance, that I will say. And it's not really going to get better because insurance companies do a lot of sponsored ads. They do a lot of sponsored placements, like sporting things, but also they've got a lot of newspapers on their site. I watched two articles the other day. One was from the Indo. It said about GPs and solicitors driving up this rip-off system. Front page, absolutely front page. Irish Times debated that, saying there wasn't that many rip-off situations where it was actually happening. It really hasn't risen. It went down last year by 2%. There's a lot of cases being thrown out of court now because they can't make it work out on insurance. So, you know, there's a lot going on in the market right now, but the problem is we can't get insurance anywhere other than in this country. And the main reason that is because there's a book of insurance risks, and that book has been buried. You have to have an office here in the country for that book can be let out. So a lot of insurance companies won't come in here and insure anybody else. And the ones that do come in here are in a cartel, as far as I can tell. They all have meetings once a year in the same room, all the MDs. They all go to the one hotel. They all sit in a room and have the Insurance Industry Federation sit up there and go, we should charge €1,000 for each of the customers at home. Oh yeah, let's all do that. I'm not saying they're price fixing. Well, I kind of am in a certain way, because insurance is basically the same across the board, really. But I can find ways of getting cheaper and cheaper insurance. It is totally possible. But you're going to have to do something that younger generation people don't like doing. And that's talking to people. That's the problem. You're going to have to do that, whether you like it or not. I'll come to why I have to do it in a little bit. Carjacker says, a dose of the brown mist. A dose of the brown mist. Right. Hellhound. Hey up, Bob. I was like, great Hellhound. I'm fine. Well, I'm not fine, but I'm getting better by the minute. Al Mohendes says, I've renewed my insurance for my Prius, around €500 a year. Is that fully comprehensive third-party fire and theft or just third-party? Or are you the only insurer? What age are you? So there's all kinds of things that play havoc with that. So the main thing that insurance companies seem to deal with is age. That is their first priority. Now, they don't say that they deal with sex, but they do, you know. Otherwise, Wheels for Women wouldn't exist if women couldn't get cheaper insurance. Anyway, quotes are supposed to be equal. They're not supposed to be based upon whether you've got a penis or not. It's just based upon the fact of whether you're an adult and what age you are. So older is less risk, younger is higher risk. You understand that. Young lads and girls will take dreadful chances in cars. Inexperience as well tends to put them into slightly more hazardous situations. But generally speaking, very older people are also a huge risk. Anyone in excess of 65 to 70 tends to be a little bit higher risk on the market. But it is still possible to get your risk down. I got 3 quotes from the same company recently. At no point in hiding their name, because the only ones with physical offices I think left is it AXA? No, not AXA. Allianz or someone. Anyway, it's an Irish company. So I got a quote online for my 13-year-old Leon, which was over €1,000. I phoned them and I got that quote, half of that, right? Then I went to a local office here, because they have physical offices, and it nearly halved that again. For the same car, no details changed whatsoever. Exactly the same quote. She could bring the quote that I did online up in front of her in the office, and I got cheaper quotes. So every single time that I it's the same company as well. This wasn't even phoning around. I hadn't even started to phone around the rest of the company. Turns out that company was actually the cheapest. But certainly you can definitely get better quotes by physically dropping into people or phoning them up directly. Peter Nolan says, afternoon all, Sunday service in the background while working away and drafting schedules for the work week ahead. Only thing getting me through this, that's what you need to do, you see, focus and concentration. I think you put your head up and go, God, he's like Joe Duffy in the morning. I love Joe Duffy. Ever listen to Joe Duffy in the afternoon? Some days he cracks me up, and other days it's travesty how far he drags it along. But some days it's pretty good. Michael Carton says, hi Bob, enjoying the shows, keep up the good work, and thanks for all the advice you've given out over the year. No problem at all, Mike, that's okay. You can support, there's loads of support things down below there if you want to support the channel, which you can do. Of course you can support the channel. There's a list of links down below to go through all that. If you can, it'd be brilliant. It certainly does fund all the research we've been doing into different things. That's how we got that finance thing going, which I'm still getting crap over from car companies, because we give away all of the secrets in our car finance videos. All of the secrets went out in that, so there's absolutely nowhere for the car companies to hide. I've had multiple phone calls and conversations from various dealerships around the country going, my God, did you have to tell everybody all those things? So the video's still there. I don't know how many people have watched it now, but I still get emails about it, and we're hoping to do another one on car insurance, and then on diesel versus electric versus petrol, which I might physically do as well. I might actually just get in 3 cars and just drive across the whole bleeding country, run out of fuel, see which one goes further. Gary Riddell is here, good man. I read a story on Facebook last night of a woman going to somewhere from a train station, plugging in her Nissan Leaf, coming back and find a plug on the ground, unplugged. Lads, the market's only 2.5%, and there's an awful lot of this crap going on. Will you stop? Like, people need electricity. They need to charge up. You can't just sit there waiting for them, your foot tapping on the ground. You know, come on, will you hurry up and charge your car? It's not up to them. You buy a car so you can bloody charge it. Like, so if they're at a public charge point, there's a reason for them to be there, and they have to charge. If you keep on plugging them, you're going to put people off the electric cars, and that doesn't help anybody. You know, it's getting dark again. I think it's thunder and lightning. I'm going to turn on my little light there in the corner just to be on the safe side, just so we don't get too much too dark. I have a little light called an aperture light, which is very good. If you ever see aperture, they're kind of hard to get though. They're not making enough of the bloody thing, but it's a good little light. Paul S says, hi Bob, I saw your review of the Skoda Kamiq. I was very interested in it, but there doesn't seem to be any available. I will have decided to buy a Scala 1 litre DSG's good car. Will I really be shortchanged, Paul and Cork? No, you won't. It's good value in the Scala. It's going down by €600. And all the recalls have been done. So the wireless Apple CarPlay should be now sorted, more or less. Hopefully, although I still had a problem in the Kamiq with that. I find it a little bit buggy, but then there's so many different phones. It's very hard to figure out whether it's the phone or the device or whatever. But no, you won't be short trains. The Scala's going to be worth it. Good for a 5-door hatchback. The Kamiq will probably be worth more in a couple of years' time, as SUV type size cars are very popular for second hand, which is why the Qashqai still sits there in the kind of top of the rank. So I wouldn't be too worried about it though. I really do think it'll be fine for you. The Scala's a really good car, and like I say, it went down by €600 since the time I reviewed it, so that's not too bad. And you get more kit than now, I think, as well. Byron says, I'm for the first time sort of insured by a foreign insurance company. It's Zengo. Ring them in London. Licensed for the Irish market with Irish Roads Act insurance discs and underwritten by LA. I've heard of neither of them, Byron. I know it's great to get, much better to get cheaper insurance, but if you actually have to make a payout, if you do, God forbid, actually crash the car into something, getting a payout can be an awful pain in the hole if someone's gone out of business or they just don't pay out in the end of it or whatever. This happened multiple times in multiple insurance companies. So just be aware, just having a disc is great, but unless you're saving 300, 400, 500 euro or something on the insurance, I'd try and keep it into companies that I actually know and I've heard of and have dealt with, or I know has been established for 15, 20 years. Not saying that against yours, but just be very careful with that one. Cross says the 8th generation is the last generation of the Golf. VW is not working on another. Yeah, they've said that about multiple car companies say that about multiple cars over time. When the Corolla disappeared off the market and they replaced it with the Auris, they said they'd never make another Corolla. Guess what? The Corolla's back. The Golf has been the car that turned Volkswagen around. It wasn't actually the Beetle. The Beetle did well and has done well over all the years. The Golf was the one that really cemented Volkswagen in the modern times. And although the Volkswagen have certainly said that the 8 is going to be their last version of the Golf, I foresee a future to the Golf that's going to go on well beyond that. Next 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to see more Golfs come out for sure. They're not stupid. They're in business to make money. They're not in business just to kind of go, well, look, Golf has done its thing now. We're just going to use an ID3 from now on. We'll see. Kevin McCarthy, Bob, my dad has a PCP contract with Audi for the last 6 years. They want 12 grand up front and €383 per month to change his 2017 A4 for a 2020 A4. All in works out 716 quid per month for 3 years. Wow, that is serious money. That's a serious chunk of change. 12 grand, right? That's a big money. Having said that, it is 6 years that you run your PCP contract. It means you've gone through it twice. Is that right? Is that you're on the second one at 2014? So your car is 2017. 2016, 15, 14. Right, okay. So your car is 2017. It's coming June now, 18, 19, 20. Yes, it's coming June for next year. Why would you want to change? I'm just wondering, does it do huge mileage or something, Kevin? Like a 2017 Audi A4 changing in 2020 should be no problem to hold on to that another 3 years and just ignore it. I mean, I wouldn't pay 716 quid a month for that's like a mortgage. Like, you're getting up to paying a mortgage on a house there for 3 years. It's crazy kind of money. Oh, sorry, there's more. It continues. And that's dropping them from a 3-litre TDI to a 2-litre TDI. He's thinking of handing the car back and ending the PCP contract. What should he do? Well, it's a lot of money. I would suggest 12 grand is nearly the price of a Dacia Duster. I mean, flat, straight out. I think it's 14 or 15 grand for a Dacia Duster. So just consider that for me. I know it's Audi to Dacia, but you could own outright the car for the cost of the deposit on an Audi. Think about that. And I love Audi. Audis make some great cars for sure, but I really don't think that is worth the change there between the two. I really don't. I'd either hold on to the car, pay off the car, and hold on to it for the next 4 or 5 years, or do as you say, hand the car back and leave it at that. If it gets you out of contract, then go off and buy something that's 4 or 5 grand and drive that around forever. Get a second-hand Nissan Leaf or something and drive an electric car for a while. You'll save a fortune for a start. Jerry Wicklow says, shop around every year for all of the services, not just insurance. That is true. We switched over our electricity and gas here, so we paid the 2 bills at once. We only have gas, so we're in a kind of a unique situation here. We don't have live fires. We can't just light a fire. We have gas fires, or we have a radiator heating system here. So we shopped around recently, and we made a good change that gave us at least another 9 months of very low cost electricity and gas combined in one. So we did that, and I changed our television and broadband over to Vodafone about 8 or 9 months ago. That worked out to be like 30 quid a month for 6 months. Now it's gone to 70 quid a month, and it's still cheaper than Sky or any of the rest of them. So yeah, it's worth switching all of your services on a regular occasion. Byron says, after Honda coming back strong in F1, I'm fancying a Type R Civic or Integra. I need to look out for on the 03, 08 Type R Honda. Other than the suspension is like driving a rock, like really hard on everything up until this generation. They're all very hard to live with, and really expensive if something goes wrong. That suspension system underneath, particularly the rear shocks, you'd have to order them from Japan. You wouldn't, the local motor factory would, and it can cost a bloody fortune, and they're really hard to work on. Any of the Type Rs are. The engines are really easy to work on the other hand. They're quite simple to get in at, but the older one's pretty hard. And the gear change is a bit weird in them. They're just a bit, they're good, but you get a bit weird with them. Sometimes it feels like your face is going to go through the windscreen, particularly on the 03 to kind of 06 model. They tuned it a bit more in 07, 08, so get a later one if you can. Alex Theodore says, would having a certificate of professional competency qualification reduce insurance costs? Some insurers will do that. Some insurers will give you a discount if you do an advanced driving course. Some will give you a discount if you go to somewhere like Mondello or Rally School Ireland and do a winter driving course. They'll give you stuff. Discuss that with your insurance company. Ask them what they will give you a discount for. They're obliged to tell you. So they're obliged to tell you if they're going to give you a discount for putting it in a garage, having an alarm, doing a special course. Now, professional competency qualification tends to be more towards PSV, so you're doing a taxi thing, you're going to get nothing with that, right? But if you're a professional driver, you can get a little bit less insurance payout. Allianz is German, AXA is French, says Cross, that's true. I don't think we actually have, it is stormy outside, literally pouring down rain. And we've inherited a cat as well, who's around here somewhere. A cat turned over the back door, has never left us, now suddenly is in the house sleeping on chairs and things. I don't know how that happened. I'm not really an animal person, we don't really keep animals normally, but this cat has just, adopted us, I think, so it's asleep in there somewhere. Almond and Hens says, I do agree insurance prices are all over the place since it's based on collision risk, which is hard to predict. Also because we insure the person here, whereas a lot of countries, particularly go to New Zealand or Australia, where they insure the car, which is a different story entirely. So in New Zealand, when you buy petrol, you pay the motor tax and you pay a third-party fire and theft. No, you don't pay the fire and theft, you pay a third-party insurance risk. So if you just take anyone's car, the car is insured. As long as you have a license, you're insured as well. So if you crash that car into a wall, they get a payout on the third party. In other words, the wall gets a payout, but the car doesn't. So you pay a little bit more for insurance than to insure yourself. If you want to insure you and the car and everything else to go with it, you can do that. So you pay a little bit extra and you get a bigger insurance chunk. So you're insured as a proper insured driver. Now, that means that insurance in New Zealand is very affordable. I mean, I had a Holden V8 over there with a 6-speed column shift box on it, 5-speed column shift box. The thing could spin it was a ute. It could spin its wheels through first, second, third and fourth, all the way from traffic lights. Just sit there, just spinning all the time, and did it randomly. It was actually probably dangerous, that car, but I had it insured. So my insurance, fully comprehensive insurance in New Zealand per year on that Holden V8, everything declared, nothing hidden, no funny business. The thing was parked on the street. I don't think even the doors locked on the bloody thing. My total insurance liability there was $200, which works out to be about €150 per year for fully comprehensive insurance. And that's because they compete very heavily to get you to insure with them, because you already automatically have insurance just by having a driver's license. Your car is insured, and you do it, everything you put petrol in, you're putting insurance in, essentially, and you're paying the road tax. And that was New Zealand in like the year 2000, something like that. Amazing, absolutely amazing that a country of its size, very similar to us, very similar to them, they were able to do it all this time. But we have a cartel over the top of us that just isn't allowing us to do it. We have a group of people here who control very heavily what's happening, and they have an insurance federation here in Ireland that makes sure that we don't get away with anything. And those insurance federations are often sponsoring ads on television saying, slow down, boys. You know, remember those old ads out there? They were sponsored by Allianz or AXA, or someone out there was sponsoring those ads. That was targeting young drivers, young male drivers particularly. They were the ones who instigated things like what's that women's insurance you can have right now? It's not women's insurance, but it's for women, that thing. Of course they have to quote men, and I have had men come at me saying that they've actually got the cheapest quote at that website. But definitely it should never it should never even get near insurance levels of any other country. We don't even have group insurance over here like they do in the UK. You know, they have like cars fit into group 1, group 2, group 3. We don't have any of that crap over here. Good afternoon, Bobs. Good afternoon from a wet and windy, stormy Bournemouth, says Mark Turner Smith. You're in Bournemouth. That's very nice. I'm in Portlaoise and it's absolutely lashing down. No, I stopped again now. It's going to go back to normal, I think. Carjacker says, did you know that if you put a second driver on insurance, it will bring down your quote? Depends on who the driver is, but yes, certainly. A lot of young drivers will attach themselves to the parents' policy. Because the two parents, like me and my wife, are on the same insurance policy on the car outside. Now, if my kid gets to 16 or 17 I think it is, we'll get them a driver's license, we put them on our insurance. That would make their insurance, our insurance will go up, but their insurance quote won't be so high, and it will quote, it'll stand to their insurance policy. Always check that, by the way. Some insurance companies, when you're insured on a car, the driving out that car does not stand to you when you try and get your own policy later in life. So be careful of that one. Slurp of coffee there. It's a quiet day, isn't it? Anyway, go back up a little bit there. Mark Turner Smith says, how much is the insurance based on accident and injury risk? Seems in the UK they're rating older cars even higher and charging suitably due higher injury in accident over modern. I have some people telling me that cars over 10-year-old can't even get insurance these days. They're finding it more difficult. If you're currently insured in a car with an insurance company, they will renew your insurance no matter what age the car is, okay? But if you're looking to switch from one insurance company to the other, I'm hearing people can't get even quotes, even though the car is NCT'd. Yeah, perfect NCT, and it's perfectly legal to drive it on the road, and it's perfectly roadworthy, and it's ready to rock, but yet they can't get insurance on it, so it nearly puts them off the road. And I see in the UK, I've seen that a few times, Mark Turner Smith, in the UK, where cars are not getting, or getting much, much higher quotes due to the car's age rather than the person who's driving it. Where does that leave young drivers? Anything? But my first car was a Datsun Nissan Cherry. I bought that when I was 17, so that was 1988 or 89 or something. It was £100. It was a piece of muck. It was rotten, like it was rusty all over. But I loved it. My first car. I loved it. But for me to get insurance, and I had to tell all the lies of the world to try and get insurance. Because insurance was about £2,500 at the time. And I had to tell them it was in a garage. I had an alarm. I had everything. The car was £100. But yeah, got insurance on it. But that car was affordable because it was £100. I couldn't have afforded anything else. And I loved it, and I drove it to pieces, literally pieces. But where does the young people start out today? There isn't even a 10 grand new car. So brand new cars are more than 10 grand now. And brand new cars are 15,000 euro. Second-hand cars are huge value here as well. So it's just crazy. I mean, where do you start? Like, where does anyone get going? I'm going to have to talk to some learner drivers, see how in the name of God they're getting on the road and how they can afford tax, insurance and NCTs and everything else. Because it's catastrophic. And yet they don't want to put electric scooters on the road, for God's sake. Where was I? Carjacker. Have a car, van and tractor all have the separate insurance. Any insurance that they would group all in one. Very few, you know. And I've seen that before with a couple of insurance. There was a few insurance companies years ago who wouldn't insure if you had two cars in the one family. So you and your wife had a car each. They wouldn't combine the two together to insure. It had to be two separate policies. I can remember doing that with my wife. She was my wife at the time, but we were living together. But now it seems to be, you can do that now. Now a lot of them have group policies, so they can allow you to put it all together. But if you have multiple cars, you often have to have multiple insurance certs on those cars on you with different policies on each car, which is kind of weird as well. I don't know how it would rest with tractors. That would be a different story entirely. That'd be farm insurance. Hertz von Rental says, are you still driving the 520, BMW 520? No. I've never had a BMW 520. Not own. I never had one to own. Driven them many times. I have a Seat Leon, a 1.6 standard Seat Leon that I bought absolutely brand new from Waters Garage, which is in Kildare Town, in 2006. And it's had a little ding on the front of it, but it's not terrible. I can probably fix it, we just haven't bothered. And it's passed every single NCT, and it's serviced, and I look after it, and it keeps going every single day, so I just can't be bothered to change it. I'm so lazy like that. I just can't be arsed. And it works perfectly well, so I don't have to worry about it. Johnny Dub says, how are you, Bob? How are you, Johnny? Come on, get your questions in. Starting to ramp up now. A lot of questions coming at me right now. We're going for the last half an hour. Cross says, most of the advanced driving discounts are useless. They are either only offered by more expensive insurance or have been withdrawn. I have ROSPA Gold and IAM Road Smart, but never get a discount. There you go, from someone who has both of those. In fairness, when I've got insurance, I've done advanced driving courses of all kinds. Like car companies send us on advanced driving course. I've done one with Audi and BMW, and I was supposed to do one with Mercedes, couldn't do that. I did one in BMW in America. I did all kinds of different courses, but I tell you, the insurance companies don't want to know about it. They don't care. It makes a difference. There is a group, Tony Toner, who's a pal of mine. He has the Institute of Advanced Motorists or Motor Driving in Ireland. He'd be worth a call. He'd definitely be able to figure out whether you can get a discount off your insurance. If you're stuck, like, you could give him a buzz. Just Google Tony Toner. He pops up at the top. Marty O. Hi, Bob. I renewed my partner's car insurance during the week. Got €50 off by phoning them up with Aviva, and also 20% off for having advanced driving course and 27% for 0 penalty points. Look at that. You see, there's from one. That's 2:25 p.m. Cross said that one, and 2:26 Marty O said that one, and two opposing things. So insurance is just impossible in this country to figure out as to whether people should get it or not, or what they're going to get and where they're going to get it from and how they're going to get it in the first place. So it's very difficult to work out in this country who's got the best rates and who's got the best stuff. This is why it's taken us this long, because insurance keeps changing on us, and the policy stuff keeps updating, and whether you can and can't get insurance, what investigations will be going on. The EU ruled that the Irish insurance system was completely invalid and didn't work out, and yet it still has not changed in the least. Hertz von Rental says, looking to get insurance for $1,300 on a 2017 Dodge Charger 5.7 Hemi in San Diego. Dodge Charger, that's got such a movie history, that car. Sorry, we're on insurance, aren't we? But yeah, the Dodge Charger, Jesus, what a car to be using in movies. Always the bad guy's car as well, which I quite liked. I really liked the idea of the bad guy's car. Anyway, I have a competition running today, so keep asking your questions there for a second. I'm going to show you the question. If this doesn't work, I'm going to have a heart attack, because I've spent at least 5 hours putting this bloody thing together. Anyway, the question is quite simple. I need you to identify what this movie is. Okay, I'm going to show you a little tiny clip from a movie, and I need you to identify both the movie, the name of the movie, and preferably the year the movie was made as well. And the more information you give me about the movie in your one quiz, I'm going to make sure that you're the only winner. That's the first thing. Second thing is hashtag Bob Flavin. Okay, that's the hashtag. So Bob Flavin, if you want me to make sure, so I can find it, right? The prize, this is one of the prizes, right? This is Art Cars by BMW. See if I can bring this on the screen a bit better for you. Art Cars. This has some of the most beautiful pictures of car BMWs over the years. That's one of the prizes. That's definitely a coffee table thing, or into your executive toilets or whatever it is. Real car lover stuff, that one. Another prize is this special book for Mazda. It's almost the same colour as my jumper. This is about the Mazda MX-5, the 30th anniversary edition. Another book for that one. I have this BMW. Oh yeah, these are coasters that you can have as well. It's a whole different levels of coaster stuff for your cups and cup holders and things. I have a model of a Citroen C4 Cactus, which is an unusual model, that one. There's a mug. Comfort is the new cool, which is also a Citroen. Then I have a little charger from Seat, which is a little Seat. Is it 2000 milliamp? I don't know, but it's got a little USB port here on the top. It's just this size. I think it's either 1500 or 1700 milliamp hour that will charge up your phone at least once, and I find them very useful when you're going through airports. You never get stopped because it's no bigger than the phone in your phone battery. So that's the prizes for this week. More prizes next week, so join in next week as well. I'm going to give away a dash cam next week, believe it or not. Anyway, here is the clip. I want you to identify what this clip is from, what movie this is, and hashtag it Bob Flavin at the bottom. The name of the movie, please, preferably, and the year it was made. Okay, here's the clip. Ready? Here we go. And that's your lot. That's it. Need me to show you that clip again? This is the clip again. Here we go. We're going to get one more go at that just to see if you can figure it out what it is, because there's a couple of clues in the clip. Yes, that's a man getting his head blown off. No, it's not. Actually, it's a dummy getting his head blown off. It's from a movie. You can see, obviously, the movie's fairly old. I'm not going to give you too many clues, because anyone who's anyway movie orientated in their head will know exactly what that is. I definitely did this on Twitter last night as well. I put out one little tiny clip, one little tiny picture on Twitter last night, and multiple people entered it straight away. People guessed everything last night. It's not the same movie, by the way. It's a totally different movie. But also, I got a tweet of mine favorited by Jeremy Clarkson last night. Don't know, that make me famous now? That mean I'm famous? Since we're talking to... I also got retweeted by Chris Harris for my love of Ford Scorpio, and then Johnny Smith got involved in that conversation as well. So, you know, we're all here. Gary Riddell, we went down to one car in October because the insurance renewal quote was £900. Insurance North has rocketed since Brexit. Not going to get any better either, unfortunately. You're doing what Ireland was doing all along. We can only be insured by insurers that are on our island, have offices here. They can be underwritten from anywhere, but they have to have an office in this country. And then they have to get in past the cartel that controls it already. But what you're doing is closing your borders to outside insurers coming into your country. So it'll only be people who have offices in the UK that can insure cars in the UK. Mick Daly, heard on grapevine that the insurance mafia here will charge extra if you drive a red or a black car. Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you, because they seem to charge you if there's a T in the name of the day. Like the quote goes up and down. Like I said, we've been investigating insurance quotes for the last 6 or 7 weeks, and that's caused us to call basically all of the insurance companies in the country. And what we did was we posed as me first, getting a quote for my 13-year-old car, and then we did the same thing, but my wife getting quotes instead of me. So she was going to be the primary driver, and I would be a secondary driver in the car. And you know what? Some of the numbers that came out were dramatically different, both up and down. So we got both ends of the scale. Exactly the same name, same address, same everything. We just changed who was getting the quote from man to woman, essentially. And we're a totally different quote. So like I say, as journalists, we tried to investigate all these sort of things. Now, we're not funded as journalists. I don't get a wage as a journalist or anything to do this sort of stuff. It's just stuff that I'm interested in doing. But if you can support the channel in some way, it'd be brilliant to click the links down below and try and support the channel. It'd be really good because we do it all in the evening time here where we're supposed to be enjoying ourselves and minding the kids and stuff. And guess what happens? We sit down and start ringing insurance companies. But yes, that could be possible, McDaly, that we end up getting charged extra because your car is red or black. Red cars, statistically, were supposed to be more often involved in collisions. Don't know how true that is. Oh, I'll show you something. This is cool. We got this in Lidl. Lidl? I can't remember if we got it in Lidl or not. It's a Millennium Falcon. You can get them in Lidl or Aldi, and it lights up and does that. See? And the little landing gear comes out with it. You pull out the landing gear and things. It was pretty cool. I just thought it was nice. I think it was on offer, like €12 or something. It wasn't terribly expensive. We got that because I love the models from... I don't really like the movies, but I like the models. I like Star Wars, the original 3 movies. I don't really like the rest of them. Mick Daly said that. Okay, Hertz Von Rental said, isn't red a safer colour for a car according to crash stats? I don't know. Red was always cars that were more involved in speeding fines, for sure. I remember that a few years ago. Don't know what it's like now, though. Hello, is that a real Christmas tree you have there? No, God no. This is a little tiny toy Christmas tree. This is a little toy Christmas tree. It's not a toy, but it's a small Christmas tree. And we got some USB lights. These are actually on a USB cable. Where did we get them? I think we got them a little as well. They were like $2.99 a couple of years ago. But they just plug into a USB port and then they light up, and they're on a little metal wire. They're probably fiercely hazardous, but they're fine for me. I don't mind. I have a fire extinguisher and a fire blanket and things. I'm sure it'll be fine. But no, it's not a real Christmas tree for sure. It's a little tiny thing. Gordon West said that. Hertz Van Rental says, I recall you doing a road test on a 520 and deciding to buy it, and then you ever mentioned you were keeping it in the Eco Pro mode. Don't know. I have 700 and something videos up. I couldn't tell you what I said from one video to the next. I really couldn't. Someone said that the other day. There's actually 700 something videos on the channel. I go, was there? I don't count. I don't really pay attention to how many people are subscribed. I don't really pay attention to any of that sort of stuff. Let's get on with it. Earlier on in the year, I looked at the numbers and thought, this is pretty good. We're doing okay here. We'll hit 45,000 subscribers soon. 22 million views or something like that will be not very far away. We get about 300,000 views a month, give or take, something like that. That's improved over the last while since Google has changed, or YouTube has changed the home page has changed a little bit. So got a little change to that as well. So that gave it a little boost a little while back, but still trying to get more subscribers is the problem. People come and watch the video that they want to watch and then they leave. They don't necessarily subscribe. So, but I do notice Irish places are starting to put me in, like Irish Reddit and stuff the other day mentioned me a few times, and boards mentioned me a few times. So it is starting to seep in more into the Irish mentality about looking at car reviews before you go buy a car. So you'll see more of that very soon. Cross says, my first insurance in Ireland coming back with full foreign licence on a Toyota Land Cruiser was €5,300. I only got insurance below €1,000 after more than 10 years on the road on an Irish licence. That's incredible. My God, the numbers are crazy. I still think my first insurance was £2,500. That number seems to ring a bell. It went down dramatically the next year, like it kind of halved the next year once you have a little bit of experience. But I was still on a learner driver's license. I only took my test. I don't remember when I took my driver's test. It was a good few years. There was no good reason in Ireland one time to go from a learner driver to a fully licensed driver. There was no benefit to you in insurance wise. It wouldn't really matter one way or the other. Your experience on a road stood to you, and that's all that mattered. So like if I held on to my learner drivers for 5 years, it really didn't matter. It wasn't going to help. So I ended up taking a test, I think I forget, years after, because I travelled for years. I didn't go back to Ireland. And when I took the test, I passed it the first time. And then my insurance didn't change at all. Nothing. Didn't help in the least. I'm sure it helps now, but back then it didn't make a blind bit of difference to you about changing over to a fully licensed driver. In the 70s, maybe the 60s, 70s here in Ireland, to cure the backlog of people waiting for a driving test in Ireland, they just gave out driver's licenses. George Hook, for instance, anyone knows who George Hook is, he was just handed a driver's license. He went from learner to full by just being given the license. And so that happened here in Ireland. That's definite. I went on a lot. So a lot of those drivers are still on the road now. They never took a test. They never went through the whole thing. All they did was went to the tax office, walked in, looked for a learner driver's license, then was handed a fully licensed driver a license to walk out the door with. That was it. Garrett Talbot says, hey Bob, I got a 141 VW Golf Mark 7 1.6 TDI. Notice on acceleration between 80 kilometers and 100 kilometers an hour that there is an engine stutter, like someone stabbed the brake pedal once. Is this a flat spot you mentioned recently? Could well be, Garrett. It would depend on the gearing response. So it would depend on what gear you're using to go from 80 to 100. So if you're in 6th gear and you put your foot down, you would expect the car's turbo not to cut in straight away. It would take a while for it to kind of gather speed. But I wouldn't expect a shudder. I wouldn't expect anything to go weird in the middle of that shot. It would be slow acceleration, but it would still be accelerating out for you. In 4th or in 5th or in 3rd or whatever gear you want to choose, you would expect less of that flat spot. It would come on, the power would come on a bit quicker, but it still should be relatively smooth on its run up. So from 80 to 120 kilometers an hour, if you're getting an engine stutter, shudder, or kind of a hesitation in the engine, it's more than probably something to do with the turbo that's been turned down, or some electronic gizmo that's cutting in, or possibly your engine is one of the engines that has 2-cylinder shutdown in it, and it's shut down to 2 cylinders and it's just starting to back up again to get you where you want to go. Definitely, if your car is 141, so it's out of warranty, 14, 15, 16, 17, yeah, so it's out of warranty, So you can go anywhere to get your car serviced or looked at. Certainly go along to or get to know somebody who is a Volkswagen dealer who can put it up onto their system and just make sure that there's no errors coming from the engine, there's nothing happening there, or find someone who's able to do that error checking for you. A lot of the non-franchise dealers, as I like to call them, I don't like to call them backstreet dealers because that sounds shady in somewhere. They're just the non-franchise guys, have these electronic systems that are able to hook up and check for errors, or will have come across this problem before. But some of these VW guys will have had training to say what to do if a customer comes in with a car that's stuttering between 80 and 100. So that's just worth checking with the Volkswagen mechanic. But sounds like an easy enough fix. Should be a software problem, probably is. But then it could be the beginning of a turbo issue. It could be the beginning of a non-sparking issue. You're not getting enough fuel into the system to keep that running, or you're getting too much fuel in the system. But it should show up on an error checker fairly straightforward. Operator Hoot says, can I send you an IMDb link? If you like. Not going to be any good to you, but nobody seems to be guessing on the video yet. So I'll play it again in a few minutes because it's a doozy. Because you look at it and think, I know what that movie is, but I don't know what that movie is at the same time. It's not a cowboy western movie, I'll tell you. Paul S. Hi Bob, you mentioned in the Scala price drop. When did that come in? I just want to make sure I'm not paying over the odds. How do I find your car buying video, Paul in Cork? The car buying video is just on the channel. It's not that long ago. It's 3 or 4 weeks ago, so it'll be sitting there. It's car finance is what it's about. The Scala price drop came out just after I put up the Scala video. Skoda rang me and said, thanks very much, we know the car is expensive, we're terribly sorry, we're going to get it all fixed and we're going to drop €600 off the price of it for 2020. So that should be built into your price right now. It should have already gone down by then because that Scala video is out a couple of months now, so it'll definitely be gone down at this stage. So you should be getting the best deal at all times. Just check on the Skoda website, check the prices you're getting there, and make sure that your dealer is not ripping you off. It's always worth a check. Shop around. Don't be afraid to call other Skoda dealers and ask them. Brian Cullinan, I have a 00 Impreza. I want to insure it for weekends and shows next year. I know I will have to insure it for the year. What are my options? Well, you've got a couple of options there, Brian. I know a friend of mine, the problem is with insurance, gapping the insurance. So when you're insured for 3 months and then you take it off, and you go back on, they count that gap as a gap in your insurance, and your insurance actually goes up. So it's usually cheaper to insure the car for the whole year. But what you're looking for is insurance that has a capped mileage system. Okay, so you'll get the best quote if you ring up and say, listen, I only want to drive 5,000 kilometers a year. What would be your insurance, right? And then you can't go over the 5,000 kilometers a year, or 10,000 or 12,000 or 15,000, whatever you want to do. So that's the best way of doing that one. But you're probably better off taking a year's worth of policy on the Impreza, because gapping the insurance means that they're going to mark it off the road. And once it's marked off the road, you have to go to the guards and you have to tell them it's going to be off the road for 4 months and blah, blah, blah. It's a rigmarole, right? But certainly map it out for a year. But if you can do check some of the classic car boys, some of them lads will insure cars that are 00. They're not classics, but they'll insure the older cars. Look at your local Subaru club. There's definitely a good number of Subaru club lads out there. Find out who they're insured with. I know the Subaru Owners Club of Ireland was talking to me recently. I forget the guy's name. He's on Instagram, the chairman of that. I think he's called Big Black Horse. I have a funny feeling he's that. That could be right. But yeah, check out with him. Check out with the Subaru Owners Club. They'll definitely get you some sort of hooked up with something on your car. But a mileage cap one tends to be cheaper on classic cars. All the hashtags are flying in now, boys. All the hashtags are flying in. Do you want me to show you the clip again? Will I show you the clip again to be on the safe side? Okay, let's have one more look at the clip. So the question here is quite simple. Identify the movie for a chance to win all of the goodies that I showed you earlier on. Here is the clip from the movie. Okay, settle back. Eyes open. Ready for it. 3, 2, 1. That is your lot. That's it. So that's the movie. You identify the movie and you get a chance to win all of the goodies that are sitting here beside me. Stick them in a post. If you're in Ireland, I'll drop out to you and hand them to you personally, or I'll stick them up because that BMW book weighs a ton, right? So I'm going to bring that to you. And it's plus it's an awkward shape, but I'll put it in a big box. But we'll see what it is. Whatever it is, you can enter into the quiz by giving me the name of the movie, preferably the year it was made, and the hashtag is Bob Flavin. So if you hit the hashtag, I'll be able to find the answers to your questions. If you don't hashtag it, I won't be able to find nothing. Dazel says, oh God, I've seen that. See, I knew I rooted through that whole movie this morning trying to find a clip that is not quite what you think it is, and then you think it might be and you're not too sure. Have a look through. I see some of the answers that are coming in already are correct, so there you go. There's a good start for you anyway. Make sure you put the hashtag Bob Flavin, or I'm not going to count it. Eric Watcher says, it sounds obvious, but I can never understand people that don't shop around for insurance. Picking up the phone and going online is simple as you clearly. We will nearly always save. You're absolutely right. Generally, the online quotes is like the perfect storm of quotes, right? So that what they want you to do is phone them. But if you're stupid enough to take the online quote first time out, you're having a laugh. Like a lot of them don't work out. A lot of those online quotes are way over the top. Brian Byron says Moonrakers cue balls 1979 from James Bond. That's one question answer in there. Mark Turner Smith says, I've always thought black cars, for example, I thought are as dangerous a colour by insurance from. Well, possibly black cars, yeah. It depends on insurance. Insurance companies seem to just make up the quotes as they please. So God knows whether they choose black or red or orange. Some car companies don't even ask what colour your car is. My car is black. I didn't get it. Quarters high for that. Ocean Froggy says, we need to see folks who make fraudulent insurance claims or exaggerated claims charged with perjury and jailed. Also, an entire claim should fail should any part of the proven be exaggerated. Now, I'll tell you, I'm going to fill you in here, Ocean Froggy. The fraudulent insurance claims are non-existent, essentially. They really are not as much of a problem as you may think they are, or as the independent.ie is making out they are. Certainly not. The same for the Sunday Indo. The entire INM group is going on about insurance fraud, and yet when you start looking around and probing at the figures and starting to pull things apart, you realise that fraudulent claims are actually very small. There is systems in place for insurance companies to report what they believe is a fraudulent claim to the Gardaí. They have an entire legislation that works over that. And yet, last 2 years, you look, there's a Sinn Féin guy did a thing online about that, asking the Insurance Federation or insurance companies how many fraudulent claims are reported. They report very little. They report very, very little fraudulent insurance claims in comparison to the way they make it out as being the biggest problem. It's not the biggest problem. Greed is the biggest problem in this country for insurance companies. That's all it is. It really is. It's just a greedy move to snap up some more money because they know that by law you have to be insured in this country. It is the law. You will be arrested if you found driving a car with no insurance. Okay, so it's laws. It's not like a little fine that'll slap on a wrist or something. This is a serious thing. So they know they have you by the balls, essentially. So you have to get insurance. So if they all get together and quote you whatever they feel like quoting you, you know, they're having a good day, a bad day, they can quote you whatever they want. Another request there to see that clip again. Okay, I'm going to show you the clip again. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Here's the clip again. Okay, Dummy getting his head blown off with some bolus. I think they're called bolus, aren't they? That was the name of them things are. Anyway, Darren Langan says, cannot insure a second car unless I start a new policy with no claims bonus for my experience taken into account. Been quoted $2,500 to €4,000. My own insurer doesn't want to know as it's over 12 years old. A second car. So you already have a car, you have a policy with an insurance company on your original car, you've now got a second car you want to drive, and the insurance company want another policy on that car, which is that's pretty normal to have another policy entirely on a different car. But your no claims bonus would have to be taken into account because you've had no claims on your current car. So that's unusual that they won't count your no claims bonus. I know it's still running with the insurance company. That's an odd one. I think that'd be pretty odd now. What you're talking about there, quote 2.5 to 4. Now the quotes are the quotes. That's just the quotes. There's nothing much you can do about. I can't help you with the quotes, but not using your no claims bonus. You know, if you've got 7 years no claims bonus, you got a second car. I don't understand what the problem is. I understand the second policy, but I don't understand what the problem is. That's a tricky one. Get in touch with me directly. I'll see what I can do for you on that one. See if I can actually help you out in some way to get you sorted on that. BobFlav@thenextgear.com is my email address. I answer hundreds of comments a week. and questions, and there's too many these days. I used to be able to answer them all. I used to spend like every Tuesday afternoon just sitting down and answering every email, and then Wednesday would be answering all the comments, and Thursday would be that. Always, I just do it all the time. But these days, it's just too many. There is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments from everywhere. So if you tweet me or you something on Instagram, I don't instantly reply to you. Don't worry, I'll get to you. Just might take me a while. Mick Daly says, I was only joking about the colour of cars, just an example of insurance in Ireland. There's no sense to it where they get the cost from. Seems to just put out a number out of the year. That's essentially what goes on. It's computer says no moment. I'll give you a good example of that. I was in Lidl recently, and my kids wanted to, I wanted to get as well, cookies. You know, the baked cookies that they have? And they're two kinds. So they have non-chocolate ones with chocolate chips in them, and they got chocolate ones with chocolate chips in them. And what we did was took 2 of the chocolate chip ones and 2 of the normal ones. The offer was 4 for €2. 4 cookies for €2. When I went to the counter, the woman at the counter looked at the 2 chocolate ones and the 2 non-chocolate ones and said she could only charge me for 2 of each. She couldn't charge me for the 4 for €2 because they're not all the same. Now that's an insanity. That's a lunacy in someone's head to say that the 4 cookies are 2 different types of cookies, so I can't give you 4 for €2. So it amounted to €4. So I told her to keep them, and I left. And we went to another bakery and got 4 for €4 for €2. So computers are the same thing. So when you're asking a quote of someone over the phone, or you're looking at it online or whatever, you got the helpful chat thing open and some little chirpy person's going, hello, how are you today? Are you okay? All that stuff. Really, they're just looking at a computer screen, and there's an insanity in the back of their head. The computer goes, that's €2,000. You go, okay, well, that's €2,000 for you, sir. And then you start to panic because it's like, oh no, I'll take my stuff elsewhere. Realistically, we need to start communicating as humans. That's why I say phone people up. Use the live chat systems. Go into offices. Physically demand attention. It's happening in banks as well. As the more of you tap with tap cards, the more banks are trying to close down branches across the country. And this is happening all the time. And you won't realise that you need a branch until you need a branch. This is the biggest problem. You won't cop it until you need one, and then you find out there isn't one anymore, right? Physical banking, the only thing supporting physical branch banking right now is businesses going in with checks and cash and stuff to lodge them in the night time, but they're finding ways around it as well, night safes and all that sort of stuff, so they're finding a way to get away from that. So physically you need to go and talk to people individually about what you want from them. The more you rely on the automated systems, the less humans are involved, and the less chance you're ever going to get any sort of a reasonable quote out of anybody. Take me Schnapp. Disposing of electronic car batteries when they reach the end of life, what's the answer? Because it can't be disposed of at the moment. They're recycled. Renault, Tesla, multiple companies across this country right now recycle any number of batteries of all sizes, whether they be small or big. Even scrapyards will take standard batteries and recycle them. So the plates, the old-fashioned battery used to be like little iron plates inside, and it was deionized water. And you could actually make a battery last an awful lot longer if you just change the bloody water. You just buy what's called ironing water or deionized water, put it into the battery, and the battery will be fine again, because the little ions got stuck to the plates and then they get shook off them again. But modern day batteries, lithium-ion batteries, don't run the same way, but they have a recycling network. So certainly cars cannot be disposed of today. You cannot just dump a car and it's just disposed of and that's the end of it. The cars have to be recycled from top to finish. All of those ICE engine cars get all their fluids drained out, the engines removed, all the metals taken out, all the plastics taken away. It's all separated out, and then it's brought away to be crushed and turned back into another car, essentially what happens to them. Battery cars are the same. They can certainly be recycled, and there is huge industry at the moment about recycling and manufacturing of new batteries, and manufacturing new batteries from recycled batteries, which is also a big thing. Good channel to look at for that sort of stuff. Most of it is bought and paid for. Most of the stuff that's on the channel is not journalistic style, whether it's good, bad or indifferent. It's all very, yes, this is the glory of the world, but Fully Charged is pretty good at things about where things are going. Not that things are actually happening, but things that could happen in the future. They're pretty good at that sort of stuff. Robert Van Zandt put in a James Bond Moonraker, the cue balls. He's good. MI6 in Brazil. Alan Montgomery, Moonraker, again. Robert Van Zandt also says €647 I paid, fully comprehensive 2018 Golf R. That's not a bad quote, in fairness, compared to the prices that are around at the moment. €647 on a Golf R. Like, that's a serious four-wheel drive monster car. Why don't you just say it was a 2018 Golf? I didn't mention the R bit. Alex Theodore says, my insurance is €1,000 with 2 years no claims bonus on a 1.2, but I have a car and a bus license. That's gas. He has a bus license, but has €1,000 quote on the 1.2. It's just, that sounds like it's just pulled out of someone's brain somewhere. And went, gosh, just charge him €1,000 straight up. Shop around, Alex. Always worth shopping around. Peter Dolan says movie clip is Moonraker 1979. Bit of trivia on the movie. This is good. This is a guy who's really done a bit of research here. The cable that Jaws bit was made of licorice, and the fight scene with Chang used the largest amount of sugar glass in a movie scene. That's good. Doesn't know if you're right or not, but that's good. That's really good. I like that. The cable is made of licorice. Let's skip forward. Sorry, now come back. My God, there's so many questions that are coming in that last while. The clips are really getting these going, isn't it? Hellhound says, I lived in Bradford, BD8, one of the most expensive places in the UK for insurance. The cost was so high, uninsured drivers were everywhere. Cheaper to pay the fine. Whoa, that's gas. Andy Tierney says, hey Bob, I missed the insurance chat. Can you recap on that? I think I have a couple of times. We'll keep going. It's okay, the insurance chat won't go away. We'll keep on top of insurance. Gareth Talbot says, thanks Bob Gent, she's a 5-speed 43,000 miles. I have 12 months warranty on it from Disha. Bought it 3 weeks ago. Love your channel. Gareth, I definitely go back to the garage, hopefully it's a main dealer as well, and get that up onto the computer and make sure that there's no issues there, that it's not spewing out a fault code and they're not just clearing the codes, right? A lot of guys would say, come on in and do a fault check, and do a fault check to clear all the codes. Code doesn't come back up, problem fixed. That's what they do, right? That is total nonsense, of course, right? The error code pops up because it's an error in the first place, not because the error just goes away or fixes itself, which is the other funny one that I see a lot as well. Well, that's fixed itself. Well, there we go, sorted. Now, go back, have it tested. If they're not a main dealer Volkswagen, go to a main dealer Volkswagen and have it tested, or go to someone who has a Volkswagen OBED thing, or whatever that's called, the tester that you connect to a laptop. It'll spew out a few things. There may be a flat spot in the gear system. There may be a hesitation in the turbo about cutting in, so it's not sure whether you floored it or it's half floored, or it could also be what's called a throttle position error, which is where the pedal you have on the ground is called the pedal, but behind that is a throttle. So there's a sensor in there that senses the throttle position, how far down you've pressed the throttle. Whether you've pressed it hard or you've pressed it soft is also taken into account. And those throttle positions have to be adjusted on every service. If that wasn't adjusted last time, this could be where your flat spot's coming from. The throttle position is just not proper. Ocean Froggy, hi Bob, are EVs penalised by insurers because of acceleration? No, they're not. But some insurers won't insure EVs. So I've had a good few people got in touch, said they couldn't get a quote on a Nissan Leaf or whatever it was that they're looking for. From their own insurance company, and the simple reason behind that is so if you have a 40 or 50,000 euro EV and it gets into a heavy collision impact wise and the battery pack is pierced, that's the car written off essentially. That's not a fixable problem. That's something that's really has been beyond damage. So they would have to pay out on insurance wise, they have to pay out the value of the car, which is 50,000 euro. It's a lot of insurance, right? So some of them don't want to insure them at all. The ones that are going for the insurance are often 10%, 15% cheaper than insuring an ICE engine car, because they see them as the green alternative. And the people who buy them tend to be very early adopter types, which are generally law-abiding citizens. There you go, cross said as well, no EVs generally see a 10% discount. Mick Daly says Moonraker 1979, very good. David Ryan, hey Bob, have you had a drive in a Model 3 Tesla? Yes, how do you rate it? There is a video on my channel. Model 3 is tested and done. A very, very good car, exceptional. One of the first electric cars that I would actually kind of desire, but I desire it more because the same reason I desire an iPhone 11s, because it's cool, because it's nice, not because it's a brilliant looking car, because it's really exceptionally brilliant to drive or anything. It's just it kind of it pushed where electric cars, or what electric cars are capable of doing, how they interact with your family. Tesla did this very well. They have video games you can play on screens. Your kids can sit in the car and use the steering wheel to actually drive the cars. On the video game. They just did this integration with your family stuff very well. So I'm kind of happy with what Tesla are doing. But it's not because I would totally desire a Model 3 because it's the best of anything. It's actually just one of the very best electric cars. But electric cars don't drive as well as petrol engine cars. They don't have the same fuel economy as a diesel engine car. They're not the perfect conversion from diesel. If you're in a diesel now going to an electric car, it's not necessarily going straight to a Model 3 is a good step, but not necessarily the best step for you if your mileage is very high. You might find it a pain in the hole to go and charge the car every time. Seen stories this morning on Facebook again of people getting unplugged at charge points, people hitting the emergency stop button and unplugging their car, and it's just, and the market's only at 2.5%. What happens when it gets to 5% or 6%, and all of a sudden we're all fighting over the bleeding charges? Then it's going to get stupid. But Model 3s, yeah, I like the Model 3. I do like it. I do. I'm not too sure about the look of it, particularly on the front. I think it's a little bit weird at the front, but it's still probably one of the better electric cars on the market at the moment until I drive the Volkswagen ID3. Volkswagen have very much the crosshairs on Tesla. Make no mistake. And if a Volkswagen group decide they're going to get you, they're going to get you. Look in their history. They're pretty good at making people disappear. Mark Turner Smith, I use a modern classic policy. Car has to be 18 plus years old. Via Adrian Flux for my 2001 Polo GTI with capped miles per year of 5,000 works well and avoids the gapping issue. There you go. See, that's what I was talking about as well. Is that mileage cap, and just tell the insurance company exactly what you want to use it for. A lot of them will have a bespoke policy for you in the background that won't work out to be terribly expensive. But at least while you're driving it, you can get insurance on it properly. And when it's off the road, it's off the road. You don't need to insure it. There, Cross points out that the Model 3 has a specific issue with high repair costs. Unfortunately, most cars these days have high repair costs because most of the parts are made by people like Continental, and so they kind of control the price of parts for the thing. So it's kind of weird. Older cars are so much cheaper to run. Honest to God, I have a 13-year-old Seat Leon, and it cost me almost zero to run it. Insurance tax is 150 something quid every 3 months. Insurance is very reasonable because I'm old anyway. Servicing I do myself costs about €70, 65 to €70 depending on how much I change. But in that service now will be oil, an oil filter, 4 spark plugs, and I'll clean out. Well, sometimes I'll actually change the air filter in it as well. And while I'm there, I'll change the pollen filter, which will probably total €70 total. And a lovely, lovely Saturday morning with a bit of music on the background, car up on jacks, a bit of overalls on, a couple of pairs of rubber gloves on, and you just tick away doing little screws and nuts and bolts and things. If anybody calls around, I tell them to go away and leave me alone. I don't bring out the phone other than for music, that sort of stuff, and then just service away for the rest of the afternoon, and it's lovely. And when something goes wrong, I phone a friend. But Mick Daly says fraudulent claims are for TDs only these days. There's not that many fraudulent claims by you. Ocean Frog says, okay Bob, understand on insurance fraud, there's not much insurance fraud. There really isn't. I wish there was, but there isn't really. I wish we could blame it on insurance fraud, but it's not. The only insurance fraud is the insurance companies themselves fraudulently giving away people's insurance details. William Neal says, Octopussy, says William Neals, 1987, James Bond. Oh, there's lots of more stuff coming in now about that. We're going to show the clip again just to be on the safe side in case anybody's missed it. What I want to do is find out what the name of this movie and the year of its release, or the year of its being made, and you can. That's my front door. You can win a ganzy load of prizes that I have here beside me, including that BMW book, which is gorgeous. Anyway, here's the clip. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And that's your lot. That is the clip. Identify that clip before the end of today's Sunday service and put the hashtag of Bob Flavin on it. because then I can actually find, because on my screen right now, that stands out like, you know, I can really see they're highlighted orange, so I can see the hashtags on it. So it's really quick to pick that out. But I'll put it in the post to you if you're overseas or if you're very far away in Ireland. But if you're not that far away, I'll stick in the butcher's cart and I'll go and meet you. And give you the books and the coasters and all the other stuff here on the ground. The book is gorgeous, by the way. That BMW book is really, really pretty. Ocean Froggy, you answer someone else. Bob Bruton says, I reckon it's Moonraker from 1979. Pardon the absence there. I had to go and check the clip to be sure. Oh, you're Googling clips. Ocean Froggy says, FYI, Family Carols by Candlelight tonight at 6:30 p.m. at Crinkin. What? Family Carols by Candlelight tonight at 6:30 p.m. No, there you go. There's an announcement for you. Ray Grace says, greetings from blustery Westport. Keep your head down out there, boy. Keep your head down out there, because it's fairly blustery out there. It's after clearing off a little bit here again, but we're still getting we're getting the edge of the storm. So the storm is heading, it's going kind of north to south. If you look, there's a great website called windy.com, windy.com. Look at that and you'll actually see arrows representing wind. A lot of sailors use windy.com to get their sailing information. Cross 13 says, Tesla certified body shops is a result of combination from some design factors. They based, fucking skip forward again, god damn it, designed towards safety over repairability and some of the supply issues causing long repair times. Gordon West says, what would happen to an electric car when it's stolen and burnt out? Would the battery explode or something? No, very little chance of battery exploding. Very high chance of the battery burning for a long period of time. There is a lot of videos you see online of fire brigades not being able to put out an electric car. Or even if it put it out, it starts again on its own. Now, we have had training in Ireland here, certainly over the last while. Most fire brigades in Europe will have had training at this point, because electric cars have been around for a few years now. So most of them will have had training, but the problem does not stop there with the training part. We've had multiple cases where electric car fires will continue to burn for hours after they've been extinguished. But very little chance of exploding. So being able to just go bang, that doesn't really happen. They tend to burn down. It's petrol engine cars that will go bang, because you're basically carrying around a little 45 litre tank of petrol in the boot, which is far more dangerous than electric, to be honest with you. Way more. Diesel's the same. Diesel doesn't tend to burn in air so well. Paraffin doesn't do it very well either, but it's a bit better. Kerosene is paraffin, but kerosene is a slightly higher burn rate, and petrol will have the highest burn rate. So petrol will burn on your hand. You pour it on the floor, you can set it on fire, it'll burn, right? Whereas diesel wouldn't. Diesel, actually throwing diesel on the fire, but don't do this. I'm not going to mention it. Forget about it, in case somebody does actually do it. But petrol is the most explosive. Electric would be way down the list of explosives in the contained area, because it just tends to leak. The battery contents. Steve O.C., you are right about dealing in person. Insurance companies are using big data to create dual pricing. This means you are priced based on your previous and line communications. There you go. You see, and what they're doing is they're capturing your details. So your name, your address, your telephone number, and your license plate, and they're associating a whole lot together. So when you phone back, they just bring up the quote to give you before, so your quote never changes. But we found a way around that was to get my wife to call, which triggered a different system. It became a different customer to the system because there was a different name on it, even though the license plate was the same. Anyway, Ocean Froggy and Connor Nugent. A lot of old EV batteries will move into grid storage, basically retirement homes and for old batteries. Yeah, a lot of them do, particularly the really old ones. They'll be used for storing more stuff until eventually they can store no more, and then it'll be refreshed, or it'll be disposed of in some way that will be sort of recycled. My God, there's a lot of you watching right now. This is great. I'm very happy with that. Don't forget to enter the competition, everybody. The old batteries that are going on will be used, like Tesla's making the Powerwall system now. A lot of car companies are coming up with that system as well. I have seen that mentioned within the Volkswagen group as well, that same thing. But they're not battery manufacturers. They have bought their way onto the board of most battery manufacturers in the country. We are facing a slightly other problem, that there is some precious metals, precious rare earth metal things that are used in the electric motors of the cars rather than the batteries. They're mined out of the ground in China a hell of a lot. Now China is now kind of restricting supply of these little parts to other places, and so there is a bit of a problem coming for supply again. We're going to have another problem with supply in the near future, and that's probably definitely on the way. But that's in the engine part of it. We'll get around. We'll figure out something else that'll go in there instead of that, because not many moving parts in there, like we did with lithium ion. Same thing. More aluminium now, less lithium. Paul Hickey says, Moonraker, 1979. Moonraker was noted for its high production cost of 34 million, my God. More than twice as much as A Spy Who Loved Me, 1977. And it received mixed reviews, Moonraker. I liked Moonraker, in fairness. Do you know what I watched last night as well? I watched a really cool little kind of behind-the-scenes thing on a movie called Logan's Run. If you've never seen it, it's a movie from 1978, 77, 78. It was out before Star Wars. And it's a sci-fi movie based upon Sandmen it's based upon people who don't live beyond 30. The original book was 21, but they couldn't get actors to fill the gap for 21-year-olds to be actors, so they made it 30. So when at 30, you have to die to continue life, so you're not allowed to live beyond that, and you have a little thing on your hand that when it turns red and then turns black, it's time to die. And the Sandmen, if you try to run and it didn't go to your assigned death moment, the Sandmen would kill you. And that's the principle of the movie. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant movie. And I watched a bit of it last night. I haven't watched it all because I watched the documentary behind the scenes, then I watched some of the movie. But Logan's Run, it's a really good movie out there. And I'm going to try in a recommendation for a game as well on your mobile if you want to play something. It's called Sky. It's a beautiful, beautiful game. It's on Android and Apple, by the way, if you want to see either one of them. It's definitely worth a look. It's one of the game recommendations of the year. It's a beautiful thing. If you want to ever feel like what it's like to fly yourself in a game, it's very good, and it's on mobile, and it's free. It's totally free. You do pay after a certain while to get other benefits and stuff, but the game itself is actually free, so the kids have been playing it as well, and it's fun. What else did I do? Oh yeah, I'll come back to that part in a minute. Peter Dolan, insurance. I find some of the lesser known Irish brokers get you good deals. I use Crane and Enniscorthy. I did much better with the larger, better advertisers brokers. Brokers have we'll say direct line to insurance. So what they do is a bit like travel agents and stuff. They buy up a certain amount of policies per year, and then they try and match you into those policies. It actually does work out pretty well. Brokers are largely underrated these days. A lot of brokers were bought out, and that's the problem. That was a big problem. A lot of brokers were bought out, and it put them on the back foot because they basically became insurance companies rather than brokers, and the price went up. But actually, you will often get a better deal from a broker because you can stand in the broker's office and talk to the people, which is brilliant. And I'm back to that same point. If you're not sure of this, you need to physically talk to people about your insurance, about tax. If you've got a problem, go and physically talk to individuals. You'll often have a much better conversation with them wherever possible. So if you have a broker in a town, stand in the office, ask them questions, bring a list of questions. They like that sort of stuff. They want you as a customer. They don't need you as a customer, but they want you as a customer. So they will always try and get you the best deal. Get your online quotes. So get online, go to something like, I'm sure there's a bonkers.ie version of insurance. Get in there, get all of your general quotes. They're kind of the worst quotes you're going to get. Put down the best quote out of that. That's your best quote. Now try and beat that by making a phone call to AXA, to Allianz, to whoever it is, FBD or someone. Phone them all up and try and beat that quote and say, listen, the quote I'm after getting is €500. Can you get better than €500? And he go, no, I can't do it. Well, that's them out. End of story. Then go to a physical office, go to a broker's. It takes a while. You've got to put a day aside to get these insurance things done. You think you can just do it by clicking an app or whatever, but no, you're getting ripped off if you're going to use an app. You're definitely going to pay over the odds. There's nothing beats face-to-face conversation with someone to get the best from them. Cross 13 says, after 10 to 15 years in grid storage, then EV batteries get recycled. When they're finished in a car after 20 to 30 years, they still have 70% of their capacity remaining. There you go. Take that as you please. Competition Entry says, Moonraker 1979. I'm in for the evening. What time can I expect to see with my prices? Where are you based? Tipped up. You don't know where you are. Lit Costello says, hello Bob. Lit. Is that your real first name? Robert Mulhall, hashtag Bob Flavin, says James Bond. Mark Turner Smith says read VWPR ID3 stuff the other. Think they are dreaming again, shouting proudly they will have 25% of the 2025 sales being ID3. May happen, but it's a PCP finance fallout. Surely that's what they're accounting. You have to remember that the PCP stuff that Volkswagen are quoting is from Volkswagen Bank. They control that bank. It's a very different situation for someone like Bank of Ireland or Ford, who deal through Bank of Ireland, or even Renault have their own bank. So they're very much control of their own collateral. They know their stocks, they know their shares, they're in control of that. So they're able to say with confidence as to what way they're going to approach the next 15 years, 10 years. Whereas a lot of smaller companies who are dealing through pillar banks or big banks can't do that, because the bank is hiding that information from them. So we don't know what's really happening with PCP. We know that 4.6 billion, I think it is, comes in every year from taxations on vehicles, right? So VRT, VAT, fuel, excise duties, all that sort of stuff. It's a gigantic amount of money. But if the car companies suddenly aren't selling many cars, electric, petrol cars, diesel cars, that's going to shrink. And I mean shrink in like go to half very, very quickly. Because a lot of that billions that comes from fuel. And if the fuel is now suddenly coming out of your 3-pin socket over there in the corner, or your charge point at home, then you're not getting the same revenue back out. Redman Texas movie Bond Moonraker year 1979, scene was Brazilian monastery. Oh, very specific. We're getting very specific now, boys. They're narrowing it down now. Tip Top says ponder this. Okay, everybody pay attention. Ponder this. A totally innocent pedestrian is hit by a dangerous driver while sitting at a bus stop, very seriously injured. All insurance companies now won't quote as he has an outstanding open claim. Yes. Why would I be pondering that? That all sounds pretty normal, yeah? You won't get it for... Yeah, of course, because there's an outstanding claim. You can't have more insurance, or the insurance gets cancelled. But you're in policy. So while you're in policy with an insurance company, they will continue to insure you anyway. Depending on whether it becomes a dangerous driving thing, whether they were drink driving. You know, there's other stuff that will make you lose a license. You can lose your insurance straight away as well. That's for sure. But like, if that's a dangerous driver situation, would you really want them to be insured on the road if they hit someone at a bus stop? I wouldn't. Tip Top says, no, I know. Lit Costello says the movie scene is from Indiana Jones 4. Indiana Jones 4? That's a new one. Didn't have that one before. John Giblin. If you could buy one car in Ireland today, what would it be and why? Volkswagen California, because I love camper vans. Pretty much straightforward. Range Rover Vogue, because it's just like the best car. But you want to have an unlimited bank account to pay for the thing as well, because it costs a fortune to run, right? So I wouldn't buy one because it's so expensive. But if I could just random, if I could buy one car in Ireland. After that, the Ford Ranger Raptor is an amazing vehicle. I have it outside the door, and I drove as the crow flies home in that car. Just park on top of things. It's a brilliantly stupid car, but I love it to bits. And I like driving uptown. I even like the fact that I can't put my shopping in the boot because it just falls around. Put a bottle of wine in the boot and it's at the bottom broken bits as you drive home. But so comfortable, really, really quiet, and the suspension is absolutely outstanding. I love it. Last time I drove it was in Morocco, which you can find a video on my channel, full review of that in Morocco, driving across the Western Sahara. Mad time. I still remember that trip. One of the best trips I was ever on. What's the game called again? It's called Sky. What is the proper name of that? The whole name. There's another Children of the something or other it's called. It's I'll find it for you now. I have to find it. Children of the Light. It's called. It's on the App Store. It's been up here in front of me. Sky Children of the Light. You'll find that there. It's a good game, really good game. I really enjoyed playing it the other day. You kind of you twist your phone around and do stuff. It's just a lovely game. Put a pair of headphones on. I'm very into things that are orally when your brain gets engaged by the noise of things. That's why I think electric cars aren't very exciting in fairness to them. They're not as exciting as petrol engine cars. Where petrol engine cars, that makes noise, you go, yeah, this is great. It's funny. Tip Top says, try calling any company with full no claims bonus 0 points and say you were the totally innocent victim of a convicted dangerous driver and have a claim ongoing. None will quote. So you're the victim and they're not quoting you because you're the victim. Why would you tell them? If you're a victim, why would you tell them? It's nothing to do with you. You're not claiming off your insurance. You're claiming off their insurance. You don't have to tell them any of that. That's irrelevant. You only have to tell insurance companies if you have outstanding claims against you, not for you. So that would be the same as me falling down in Lidl, claiming against their insurance. I'd have to tell my life insurance that I'm claiming against Lidl and they won't quote me anymore. That doesn't make any sense. Stupid. Don't be telling people that you got an outstanding claim. That's just straightforward. It's not your fault. Cross says, has to be said again, EVs are much less likely to go on fire than a combustion vehicle. Yep, I agree with you. US NFPA stats from the last 5 years are that a combustion vehicle fire is 5 times more likely than EV fire per mile. Now, I don't like, they see more than 200,000 vehicle fires per year in the US. I don't like quoting figures. I like the science behind it, but I don't like quoting figures because there's an unbalanced market. There's not as many EVs on the road. They don't drive as many miles as petrol engine cars, so you can manipulate those figures and graphs and charts any way you like. We have I was going to say an exploding technology, but we have a forthcoming technology which is unfolding week by week by week. We're seeing more and more car companies getting involved in more and more cars on the road. We still only have 2.5% of the market, and we still haven't driven, like, we've had ICE engine cars for 100 years now, so we have 100 years of data to deal with. We have electric cars in kind of large amounts in the last maybe 10 years, and even then the large amounts still aren't even here until the last 3-4 years. So it's very easy to say there's a lot less car fires when there's a hell of a lot less cars. It's like saying, there's not much horse manure on the roads these days because there's no horses on the bleeding, well, very few apart from the travellers doing their national service every week. Tip Top, no claim or fault against you, but because you were severely injured, you have legitimate claim, you will get no more insurance. It's just not true, Tip Top. You really don't have to tell the insurance companies if the claim is not against you. Bob, if in capital letters and quotation marks is Ocean Froggy, if you were buying a BEV for yourself today, which ones might you go for? Like the poster in the background. Oh, that's a calendar in the background. That's Star Wars joke. It's a calendar which is on the right month. Hey, we changed the hours. Last week it was on November. Anyway, which BEV would I buy for myself today? I wouldn't. I tell you, I would wait until next year because there's a pile more choices to come. Now, that's just me because I like choice. I think choice is very good for the consumer. I think it suits the consumer best to have as much choice in the market as they can have. And so I'd be prepared to wait for Volkswagen, for Peugeot, for Citroen, for all these other car companies to bring out their cars so I could test them. But if I was buying one for 2020, if I was going to buy one right now and have it delivered in 2020, I would get a Kia e-Niro. The e-Niro ticks all of the boxes for me perfectly. It's a fine car. It's big enough for the family. It's got a fairly decent boot. The range is brilliant. The little infotainment system is gorgeous the way it's split into 3 pieces. It scales up nicely. It does Apple CarPlay perfectly. It handles okay. None of the electric cars handle great, to be honest with you. None of them really handle very well. They're not designed for handling. They're designed for getting you as far as you want to go. So the Kia e-Niro would be my one. I would follow that with the Kia e-Soul. No, Kia e-Soul would be my one. The Kia e-Niro would be my second choice. I know they're both basically the same cars, but the Niro just ticks another extra couple of boxes. Slightly bigger boot, slightly more defined shape on the outside. And then you're into Tesla Model 3, which I really like the look of, but they're going to proliferate across the market very soon. There's a lot of them coming onto the market, a lot of them being delivered right now. So there's going to be a good number of them that will come up as used cars in a couple of years' time. Sensible money there. And after that, there isn't really a whole lot that's on the market right now that I would jump at in electric cars. So it sounds a bit weird, but that's the way it is. Robert Mulhall says Octopussy. Okay, Lit Costa, what's the game called? Oh yeah, you said it before. Okay, remember we're all still paying levies on our insurance. We are, and of course we're paying levy on our taxes and all that sort of stuff as well. Ocean Froggy says, went from a 5.8 litre per 100 kilometres diesel to a BEV, from 85 quid a week on diesel to €8 a week night rate electricity for fueling while I sleep. What's a forecourt? €8 a week Even on night rate, that doesn't sound right. That number doesn't sound right. Night rate meters charge at about 10 cents per kilowatt hour, and if you are spending €85 a week on diesel, I would expect you to be closer to be €8 a night rather than €8 a week. That sounds wrong. You need to do your calculations again. My simplistic calculations recently would suggest that charging a Kia e-Soul from empty to full, so from zero, which never happens, to full, which often happens, but from zero to full, was going to be about 15 to 18 quid without night rate. So with night rate, it's more like 10, 8 or 10. Now, what were you putting 85 quid worth of diesel into? Was it like, was it a big like V6 or something, or a big off-road vehicle? It's just the numbers don't quite work out. €8 a week sounds like wild. If everyone's at €8 a week, I'd buy one. I just don't believe that that's possible. Tommy Gallagher says it's Moonraker 1979. Katie Hoare says, hi Katie, how are you? Tip Top is still going on about his insurance. Nope, they now ask if any claims are respective of blame. That's not true. That just is not true, Tip Top, I'm afraid. It's not true. They ask you, have you any claims or convictions against you? It is illegal for them to ask you that kind of personal questions against GDPR, to be asking questions of whether you're claiming against somebody else. It's a different story entirely. It's not even in the same courts. So that's just not true. Have you any accidents, claims or convictions regardless of blame in the last 5 years? That's not true. Regardless of blame is not a question, Tip Top. I'm telling you now, we've done 6 weeks of research into every insurance company in this country. They can't ask you if you are claiming against somebody else. Your name will appear against somebody else, because how would anybody get insurance on anything? If you crashed into somebody else, they claim against you. Now, neither of you can have insurance. That makes no sense whatsoever. That's absolutely insanity. It cannot happen. They can ask you if you've had any claims or convictions against you in the last 5 years, but it would show up on the insurance registry anyway. So while you're sitting there looking for your insurance, they would already see your name appear on the list if you've got accidents and claims against you. We are into the last half hour, so I'm going to show you that clip one more time. In case you've just joined us, there is a competition ongoing right now. You can win the BMW Art Cars book, which is a brilliant book. It's beautiful. Look at that thing. It's absolutely outstanding. I have more prizes next week, by the way, so don't miss out next week. There's loads of art, very unusual photographs and things and stories attached, painted cars, all BMW stuff. If you're even remotely into cars or BMW-ness, but it's a car. I mean, it's a celebration of cars is what that book is. It just happens to be BMW. You can have that. You can have a model of a Citroen C4 Cactus, a little toy model here, still in the box, still perfect. Never took it out of the box, still in one piece. Never took this out of the box either, but I do have my own version of this, which is it's a matte blue mug. It says "Comfort is the new cool." It's from Citroen as well. That's even still got its little sticker and stuff inside of it. It's matte as well. It's got a funny little texture to it, which is quite nice. We use that there for a mug sometimes. I don't like showing car brands on the stream, so I don't drink out those cups. What else we got? We BMW placeholders, mat holders, these things here, which are like cup holders or drinks holders. It's got BMW on one side, it's got the logo on one side of it here. Interesting, used to be Messerschmitt, I think, and then it holds cups on the inside. There's a few of those inside, and each one has a different sort of thing. And I have two Seat chargers, which are battery chargers. I'll get that closed again in a minute. The battery chargers are these little skinny ones which are used to go through airports as well. These little slim ones like this, and they have a little battery charger on the top, and the cables and all are inside the box here as well. So all of those things will be going to one person. I didn't put that back in the bag. Today, while we're here on the stream, I will be announcing in about 15 or 20 minutes as to who the winner is. I'm going to pick it from the hashtag of Bob Flavin. You must hashtag it, Bob Flavin, or you will not be entered into it, because that's what I'm going to be clicking on, is the hashtag of Bob Flavin, to see the entries from it as well. Oh, there's a Mazda book as well, a 30th anniversary Mazda book. And all you got to do is identify this movie. So I want to know what year it was made and what is the name of the movie. Ready? Here we go. I'm going to show you a clip now. Watch, concentrate, be very careful, concentrate now on this. blood ahead of him. That's how it works. You blood ahead of him. Anyway, there you go. Now you see it. Now you don't. That is the clip you've got. Give me the name of that with the hashtag Bob Flavin. Put in the whole name. Put in whatever other details you want. We've had a few guesses there today. Everybody seems to be focused very, very hard on James Bond movies at the moment. So make sure you're looking through that list there. The Octopussy, Moonraker has been guessed already. A couple of other people have guessed other things like Raiders of the Lost Ark and stuff. So just bear it in mind. Operator Hoot says Moonraker 1979. Bond rocks up to a monastery after the crash landing of a hand glider that grew from his boat during a chase. Somewhere on the way he finds a poncho and an asteroid. There you go. See, now there's a detailed answer for that one. Cross 13 says Model 3 is now the best selling car overall in the Netherlands, third best selling car in the UK. Connor Nugent, the Model 3 was the best selling car in November with 135 registered. Very few cars registered this time of the year, but still interesting. Well, you see, you got another flip side of that one, Connor. Most car companies will not register their 2020 models until next month. So the beginning of next month, you'll see the registrations go up, but you might see Teslas fall off. So you look at a year's performance rather than just 1 month's performance. This is what happens these days. A lot of young people in the industry, a lot of the industry now is starting to look in the next month, the next 3 months. This month's takers are down, this month's takers are up. Don't be thinking in a month, think in the 6 months. So this is not a race. This isn't a sprint. This isn't trying to get to the finish line in 100 meters. This is a marathon, is what's been run right now. It's going to come down to supply of batteries, supply of engines. You'll see thousands upon thousands of jobs being lost over the next 3 years in all car companies. I mean, Mercedes, 8,000 jobs. That's 4 weeks ago. I'm telling you, this is where the electric car race is on right now. You're all going electric cars. But look at the thousands and thousands of people who are now unemployed by what electric cars are doing right now. And yet I stood and listened to MD of Volkswagen Group tell me that for the next 20 years, Volkswagen will be investing a gigantic amount of money into the diesel and petrol engined cars. That's coming from Audi. Whether that's true or not, don't know. But you know what? You have to listen to what he says. Cross 13 says €8 on a 7 cent a night night rate. I couldn't get a 7 cent a night. The best I could get night rate meters was 10 cent. When I shopped around looking for electric, I wasn't looking for it for myself. I was just looking for research in general. I assuming you can get 7, but I couldn't find it. And the excess charge on night rate, your standing charge goes up for night rate over time, and there's a small installation fee as far as I know as well. Anyway, besides that, 800 kilometers of driving on a 15 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers EV. So €8 on a 7 cent a night rate is 800 kilometers of driving. Okay. Moonraker 1979 says Butcher IRL 6-car crash on the M1 this morning from freak hailstorm. Drive safe, everyone. Stay out of it. But if the yellow storm is happening right now, you don't know what. You're sitting in a lovely big fancy car driving along the road, along a back road somewhere, and a tree just falls on top of you. This stuff happens, guys, and it does happen in Ireland as well. Tip Top says he will disagree with me, but he's correct that he got hit by a car at a bus stop and now he can't get insurance because he's claiming against someone else's insurance. Anyway, James Daly, do you have to inform your insurance company if you have penalty points? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Your insurance will usually only start to rise if you've got 6 penalty points, right? 4 to 6 is where it starts to become a little bit hazy. It used to be actually 6 was where it started because you only got 2 for speeding, but now you get 3 for speeding, so they've made it 6 is where it starts to affect your insurance. But you must inform your insurance company on renewal. But I would suggest insurance companies will get out of any possible way they can from paying out. They will. And if they say to you, you crashed your car deadly, you didn't tell us you had 3 penalty points, then they're not going to pay you. So yeah, you're supposed to ring them up and say, I got caught for speeding. But mid-policy, it won't matter. Aaron says that would be the very cheesy Moonraker from 1979. Very interesting. You guys are so good. Will my insurance go up if I have a no claims protection and made a claim and the accident was a 50-50 split blame decision? Was there a claim against your insurance? If there was, it will go up at the end. Now you've got a no claims protection, so your no claims bonus will remain the same. That won't change. But your insurance could possibly go up as long as there's a claim against your insurance and the insurance company has paid out. Your insurance will probably go up to compensate between the two. It is worth arguing. Don't just take it from an insurance company when they put your insurance up and go, you know how to claim, you put it up. You don't have to sit there and just take that thing. You can argue the thing and argue it properly. The important part is that you have a claim. Even though it came down to a 50-50 split, if the insurance company paid out, your insurance will probably go up, yes. But your no claims bonus will remain the same. So I think 7 years is the maximum length for no claims bonus for anybody. It doesn't matter if you've got, I don't know how many years. I don't remember the last time I had a crash or any claims against me at all. So it's got to be 20 years or something. But really you only get 7 years. So your no claims bonus will remain the same on the protection, but your claim will, or your insurance will probably go up just slightly. Byron says, was at a funeral there today, got talking to the funeral director about an e-hearse. Was very interested. No fumes, drive at 5 kilometers an hour, heat for pole bearers, local route for low mileage is perfect. It is, yeah, and they do exist. I think Ford, there's a coach builder crowd in the UK that's done the hybrid Ford Mondeo as a hearse, but kept the hybrid bit, made the battery bigger or something. I've read that somewhere. I didn't see it now, but I read it somewhere. For sure I've seen an hearse already. I'm sure there'll be loads of them. Do you know how much a hearse is these days? I mean, they're not exactly cheap. They'll do whatever it takes to make the hearse you want. Sean Smith, hey Bob, where did you get the Citroen stuff? No chance of me winning, I haven't a clue. I got it from Citroen. Citroen gave it to me at something. I've gathered these things together over the last 12 months. Usually when I go along to some sort of press day or press event of some sort, they'll have something there, like, or I'll ask them and I go, listen, I do a giveaway on a Sunday, give us a few bits and pieces, and they give me like a cup or something or other out of it, and I just put them in a box underneath and keep them there until I get to Christmas time. Then I get them all to you guys. I don't really use any of them. The only thing I do use is things like pens. I always run out of pens. There's a Continental pen. I'll throw that into the group as well. Pens I use the whole time, or notebooks and things. I use them, alright, but I don't really use cups or mugs or stuff, so I just give them all to you guys. I don't throw them out like. He's answering somebody else. Ocean Froggy says it's usually less than €8 a week, 7 kilowatt multiplied by 5 hours, 8.8 cent per unit night rate, €3.08, i.e. charging from 35% to 100% twice or 3 times a week. It's incredible, alright. I didn't believe the Taliban myself. It's true, you know, when you look at it, the problem is the change of language as well is also there. People are very used to hearing about miles per 100 kilometres or you know, litres per 100 kilometres or miles per gallon or whatever way you want to work it out. People are very used to taking into account how much it is. They're not so used to taking in about kilowatt hours and 7 kilowatts over 5 hours and 5 hours at 8 cents. You know, it's very hard to change that language and change that thing to get the perception right. There's still a lot of education to do, and not all of it's good. Not all of it's the right education. Some of it is just retweeting stuff and not really questioning where it came from or how it works or what it does or what it's doing to other parts of the environment. We'll see as time expands. As times are going to expand over the next 5 to 10 years. You know, if you bought a petrol car today, it'll be fine for the next 5 to 10 years. No problem. How long do you hold on to a car for? I have mine for 13 years. I'd say I'll probably be able to keep that for another 5 or 10 years easily and not worry about it if I keep it the way it is right now. I'd love to keep it until it's a classic because I'm the only owner on it. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Thomas Powell says, degradation on older Nissan Leafs. What's the chance of future battery replacement via specialists? No need for specialists. You can replace the battery in them right now. You can buy them from Nissan. Battery degradation is something that really affects the older, very older generation cars. Some of them can be quite severe. There was a big problem with the long range one of the Nissan Leaf. The degradation seemed to be catastrophic over a very short period of time. Other ones, you can easily test for this. There's simple tests that can be done, pretty straightforward. Just hook them up to a battery tester. You can't buy it in the shop, by the way. You have to go to a dealership, but they can tell you the level of the battery straight away. But battery degradation is a problem going into the future. We don't know how much of a big common problem it's going to be, and it seems to vary between manufacturer to manufacturer and even battery to battery. So some car brands are having problems with individual cars that have degraded faster. But all batteries have a 7-year warranty at least. Some are longer. And all of them are, the warranty will trigger once the battery reaches 70% of its capacity. So if the battery within those 7 years goes to 69% of the battery, the car company are, depending on the terms and conditions, will replace your battery anyway with a brand new one. So you shouldn't have any fear in that respect. You'll be able to get your battery changed. Cross says my night rate of 6.7 cent. 7 cent would be fairly common. Okay. I've seen it. Mark Turner Smith, I might be made unemployed by February 2020 from my job as a medical devices technician at Southwestern Ambulances Service NHS. Brexit and EV sales affecting UK job. They will continue. That will continue. Unfortunately for us, the wave, the drive, the ability for people to try and get hold of electric cars and get it happening and get manufacturing going means that manufacturing them is easier. And there's no retraining. You don't need as many people to make an electric car as you do to make a physical ICE engine car. There really isn't that many moving parts. It's much more straightforward. So car companies are very, very, very much shrinking, getting smaller in every direction. It's from the top down as well. Ford Ireland are in trouble. It's become kind of Ford UK. Honda Ireland seem to be in the same sort of difficulties at the moment. Fiat are nowhere. Fiat have one person in office really up there in Ireland right now, and they're really trying to struggle there to try and get themselves back going again. Fiat Global are at that too. Mitsubishi struggling. The only thing supporting them is the PHEVs they're putting out. They're all kind of scrambling at the edges of stuff, trying to find how to get there. Even Mazda's had problems as well. They weren't going to go electric, now they're going electric. So there's all kinds of stuff. It's a big problem. It's a really big problem as car companies what do you call that? Homogenization, whatever it's called. When they all get together, you'll notice that Peugeot Ireland, which is run by Gowron Group, has bought out Opel Ireland, Opel Ireland has moved into Gowan House on the Naas Road, so Opel and Peugeot are all in the same building. So it's, everything's changing every day, and jobs are going to become a major problem in the future within the car industry, and that includes dealerships. I'm talking to dealerships out there right now that are struggling to get lads in the door, to get people in the door. I mean, Tesla don't have dealerships in Ireland, for instance. They've got one, it's a place up in Dublin there, but just like 7 people involved in that. That's it. There's no other dealerships anywhere in the country. Imagine if you're a dealership that has, like Joe Duffy there, has 11, 12 dealerships across the country, and you're trying to support all those jobs, and there's less and less and less cars being sold the whole times. There's all kinds of problems. But like, as Mark Turner Smith points out, there's downstream jobs from that as well. So it's not just the direct car industry jobs that are being shrunk daily. It's the jobs that supply all them things in, like the catering industry that supply all the lunches, the shops that are around the edges of all the factories. All these things are in trouble. They really are in trouble all the time. What's the giveaway and how do I enter? Okay, I'm going to do this for the last time. So the giveaway is to win a pile of stuff I got here beside me. It's cups and coasters, all brand name stuff, and BMW car stuff. And next week there's going to be possibly a dash cam that I have to give away as well. So there'll be loads of stuff to give away next week over the next every week between now and Christmas. We're going to do a Sunday service. So all you got to do is identify this movie clip. So I wanted to find out what the name of the movie is and what year it was released or made in, either one, and put the hashtag Bob Flavin with it. Here's your last chance to enter. I'm going to bring it on the last minute. Okay, here's a clip. Watch carefully. That is the clip, and next week we're going to have a different clip and a different question, and it might make it more complicated. You all seem to enjoy the clips, the movie clip thing. I used to do a weird little thing when I was a young lad, and I still do it today. If you show me a still frame from any movie made anywhere up to like the 90s, even into the 00s, a still clip, no matter how weird and remote, my wife does it every once in a while, just pause the movie. What's the movie? I can identify the movie 9 times out of 10. And it's a weird thing because I was a movie nut when I was a kid. Absolute nut. When VHS arrived, my God, I watched every single movie in the world. Thomas Powell says, will there ever be a power bank of sorts to charge electric cars just as with mobile phones? That's just a battery on a battery. You can do that right now. You can get a solar panel on your roof that charges a a wall charger, a big battery on your wall, a massive yoke, and that thing charges your car. So you can do it right now. That's Tesla call it a power wall. Every car company has something similar, or battery company has something similar. Sean Smith says, I was in Gowan House recently, absolutely deserted. How is it deserted? I was in it 2 weeks ago. I should have been there today as well. Unless you went on a weekend, Sean. Gowan House is the one on Naas Road, I think you're thinking of, is it? Because that's the one where Peugeot and Opel are now run from. Peugeot Ireland and Opel Ireland are run from Gowan Group, which is the group that import Peugeot and now Opel in the country. Rusty Bunce says, Moonraker. They're actually called Q's Balls. Good as ever. He's off out. Brian Derrick. He's a good step butcher. He was still trying to sell my Leaf. It has 2k less on it last night. Sold him mine. Was highest spec with leather. He said that it didn't interest him. What was? Still trying to sell my Leaf. Alright. I thought it was electric cars were being fired out left, right and centre here. No. None whatsoever. Anyway, I have to do a search now for your tag, which will come up now in a second. See, I can do. But the great part about hashtags, thank you Google for being so cool with the hashtags, is that I can now search for your hashtags without having to do anything else. It's great. N-A-I-N. Thank you Google. It's so much easier. My God, Budget 2020 appeared as well, which is absolutely brilliant. I'm going to do another budgeting later on in the year as it comes up. Over time. Anyway, right, time to choose a winner. We're going to flick through the whole winners now. All of the... Oh, my God, a lot of you entered that question. A hell of a lot of you entered that, which is absolutely brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to... At random, I've picked up all those names. Now I'm just going to copy and paste that into that website so I can randomize the whole thing for you. And the winner is... Would you believe it's Byron Dethrick? I can never pronounce your last name, Byron. Byron, you have won this entire thing. All of the stuff that's given out here today with the cars and the BMW book and the whole show. You can do with them as you please. Get in touch with me. Let me know where you are, your movements over the next while, and we'll hook up and I'll give you all that stuff in one shot. So much stuff to be good with. Next week I'm going to give away another giveaway next week. If I can lay my hands on it, it's going to be a dash cam, a good 1080p dash cam for you to give away next week. So join me again here next week. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We still got 10 minutes to go. Relax, 9 minutes to go. Loads of times to get more questions in. It's been actually a weird, busy day, isn't it? Between the storms and a whole lot and everyone coming in, it's been a lot of people here. Great amount of likes, a huge amount of viewers as well, which is really good every single week. The channel has grown a huge amount over the last while. It's been a very strange year, and next year is going to be even stranger. I feel I'm already getting a lot of offers for next year. There is very possibly a TV show in the offing. I've been offered this every single year since the dawn of time, so I'm not going to put my money on it, but I've had a decent offer for a decent car show next year for telly. Don't know how it's going to work out. We're on negotiations about it right now. I'd be interested to hear other people's opinions of whether you actually want a television show or whether you can be bothered with that, or you just want to stay here on YouTube. Because TV for me was never the destination. I never set out to go and do a TV show. I always set out to go and do my own YouTube channel, and that's where it really was living over the last while. So I was not really that much interested in it. Sean Smith, yup, walked in and nobody around, car park was full. Oh yeah, in the front office, yeah, I know, it's weird. They're all upstairs. There is now 2 offices in there. Dara's in there. There's such a huge group of people. They're lovely people. It's a tough point of the market. Peugeot's going to do very well, or Peugeot as it's called in the UK, is going to do very well over the next while because they've got a good rash of cars coming. Unfortunately, I can't make the 2008 launch right now today in Marseille. It's on tomorrow actually. In Marseille, I just can't. I've had food poisoning earlier on this week from a lovely Dublin restaurant. Thank you very much, Dublin restaurant. I got food poisoning out of that. I'm kind of over it, but if I was in the middle of bloody France and I got food poisoning again, or it just came back, and it did come back a couple of times, so I don't want to do that again. It's like, ugh, no thanks. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, everybody, and if you click the little bell beside the subscribe button, you'll get a notification whenever I go live, so you won't miss next week's show, because next week I'm going to have multiple questions next week, multiple little clips from different movies, and you're going to identify the whole lot of them and put your answer in for for the dash cam, which will be out next week. Paul Hickey says, hi Bob, watching Fifth Gear here now. Good shows are doing a good review of the Honda NSX that Senna helped design. Driven the NSX, there's a video online from that. Shame what happened to Fifth Gear. In fairness, they just couldn't. How can I explain it without really upsetting the entire planet by saying the Fifth Gear isn't really that good anymore? It's okay. It has flashes of good crack, but I don't know whether I can really support that, or even Top Gear for that matter. You know, there's just so much that doesn't make any sense anymore. This idea that, you know, nobody's really reviewing the cars anymore, and nobody's really showing how much fun cars are. They're just kind of utilitarian crap now. Anyway, but yeah, Fifth Gear is. I watched one the other day where they were testing VW Up versus something else and something else. It was Jason Plato and Johnny Smith reviewing the two, and that was a bit of a laugh. But they were testing them in a way that you'd never ever. How fast can they go around a track? It's VW Up. It's a 1 litre 3-cylinder engine. It doesn't matter how fast it goes around the track. You know, put stuff in the boot. If you're going to do stuff for fun, then do it properly for fun. Rusty Bun says, hit the like button, everyone. Yeah, you can do that, and the subscribe button. Mo Brown, then he's just mad at me and we're not going outside to play with you. Don't know what that means. Evan Moran can do one, thanks. Jerry Wicklow says, my fear is you'd be under the advertiser's thumb on TV. Here you have much appreciated free agent. I know, yeah, and there is that, but I think because this production company that's coming at me with this idea wants to do something that's motor related rather than just pure pure advertorial stuff. You're not necessarily reviewing every car. This is just something that's kind of more fun and reviews. And they don't want to know anything about advertising, so I'd never even be worried about what advertising is on it. Simple as that. Evan Moran is an idiot. Can I just point out? What I'll do is now I'll put you on the channel. So you're gone now, Evan. I don't want you to exist anymore on my channel. Anyway, Sean Smith, I thought I'd be able to see some cars or something. Had a big 504 on the billboard outside. Pat, no, it's not a car company like that. It's a car company. Car companies are not like that. Dealerships are like that. Dealerships where you go and see some cars. Pat Mulligan says, TV might be good to find a bigger and better show, as there are limits to what one can make and still keep the Q&A. That's true. Byron says, Byron, the winner of the competition, is now going to speak. Anyway, on a YouTube, he's talking to someone else there. Mo Brown, you're even more than welcome to come, and said that he was only playing when he said, I don't know what that means, Mo. I can't even read that. There's all sorts of symbols and tags and everything else in that. Anyway, look, it's just coming up to 2 p.m. on this rather grey, miserable Sunday afternoon in December. Hopefully your Christmas is going to be absolutely amazing for this Christmas. Don't forget Santa's on the way, and everybody needs to be aware of that. Byron is the winner this week, and I can be Santa for right now. Next week we're going to have a different competition. I'm going to give away all kinds of stuff over the next while between now and Christmas. If you're a company who is interested in giving away stuff to the audience right here, get in touch with me. We'll give you a shout out, of course, for the free stuff that appears here beside me. But other than that, it's going to be stuff that I can scrounge up from the car companies out there. You have been all absolutely fantastic today again for another Sunday service. Hopefully you can support the channel. Support the channel is very important. This is unfunded. I do not get money from car companies whatsoever to make this channel happen. It just happens because I want it to happen bad enough. So your support is huge. It's because of you guys out there and your support that keeps this channel on the run and on moving at all times. Take care of one another over the next week, please. I'm going to be in Porto on Tuesday or something for the VW Golf launch, which is the Golf 8. Seemingly the final Golf has got to ever come out. We'll see what happens. But seemingly the final Golf. So I'm going down there to do that. I'll have a video out from that as well, and another video next week. And we're going to have another giveaway next Sunday. So hit the subscribe button. Hit the little bell icon beside that as well, so you get a notification when that happens. Look after one another between now and next Sunday. And until the next time, I will see you on the far side.